Alright, so for this I'm going to go off the book because that book is just stupid, and I'm just going to do this. So I'm going to teach you guys about Boolean Operators. Now if you recall, Boolean Operators. If you recall before, so this is going to be Booleans. If you recall before, I told you that a Boolean is a statement that is true or false, or a variable. So we're going to make her lazy. It's okay to be lazy sometimes. Code gets really repetitive, and copy and paste is your friend always. So Booleans. So to declare a Boolean, you do Boolean x equals true, or Boolean y equals false. Okay, so Boolean x is true and Boolean y is false. Okay, so true false statements are very important in programming because they're used in operators. Boolean operators. Boolean operators would be greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or equal. And I'll explain those in a second. So you have your Booleans. They can either be true or false, right? So Booleans are used for many things, but for now I'm going to teach you if statements. If Boolean. If x, because x is a Boolean. So if, do this. Okay? So if this, then do this. So if x is true, this always checks if the statement in here is true. So if x is true, then do this. So let's just do system.out.print ln x. Now let's just do another if statement. Just copy this, change some arguments. If y, then I'll do this. Now it won't do y because y is false. Or let's just see. So true, y is false, so it will not do this. So let's use our operators. Earlier I mentioned equal. So this Boolean, this entire expression is a Boolean. So y equal false, which is true, so that means the Boolean is true. Kind of weird to wrap your mind around it, but it works. Check it out. True, false. Now you can also use Booleans with, or if statement, Boolean operators with numbers. So let's just say integer int1 is equal to 3. Integer int2 is equal to 6. So you can do if 3 is greater, or if integer 1 is greater than, let's put 2, then system.out.print ln, just put 3 is greater than 2. Or let's just do int 1 plus that. Okay. Where's my error? Oh. Oops. There we go. 3 is greater than 2. Now if you change this to 1, this will return false. So you won't do that. If you set this to 2, it will still return false. It won't do this. But if we wanted to check if it's 2 or more, that would be greater than or equal to. So if integer 1 is greater than or equal to 2, then do this. 2 is greater than or equal to 2 is greater than or equal to 2, right? Or 3 or whatever. Now you can also put other integers here. So let's put integer 2. It's going to be easy. Just put a quote there. It's going to be messy for a second. Integer 2. And not our plus sign. There we go. Now see, this is false. Integer. But if we change this to 6, 6 is greater than or equal to 6. You can also do less than, so you can check if this is less than or equal to. So 3. 3 is, less than or equal to. And you can do 6. You can do this with all types of integers, doubles, floats. You can even compare, if you wanted to, you can compare a double. D1 is equal to 3.99999, and just say that integer 2 is 4. If D1 integer 2 is less than integer 2, you can do D1. You can do that. That's totally acceptable to the computer. Alright, so with if statements, you can check. So if you remember conditional statements, sometimes you can do if this. So if 3 is equal to 3, say that. What is wrong with that? Oh, equal, sorry. If 3 is equal to 3, do not forget to do that, by the way. Equal if you're comparing two numbers or two variables. Do this. So if 3 is equal to 3, then do this. So what happens if it's not? Well, it just skip over it, right? But say you had an instance where you wanted to check if it's that, and if it's not, then do something else. So say if, for example, Boolean x is equal to true, if x, but what if something happens in the program where it comes back to this, and this would not be declared, it'd just be Boolean x, and then x equals true somewhere, and makes x false. It just skip over this entire statement, just ignore it completely. So you can do an else. Else means, so if x is true, do the following. If x is false. Basically, whenever this condition is not met. So you can do if 3 plus 4 is greater than 6. Of course, that is true. Dead code saying pretty much that it's irrelevant. You don't need this. But that's just because I'm using like obvious answers. So yeah. There's also, you can do this, and you can do if you want to compare multiple things. You can also do if else, or if you can do x. Let's just put x up here so it doesn't bug me about x. Boolean x, public. I'll explain public in a second. So if x, what's wrong with that? Oh. X equals true. So if x, then I'll do this, public static Boolean. If x, else. Right? If x is true, if x is false, right? But say you want to do multiple types of operators. Say, for example, you're doing rock, paper, scissors. Say you're doing rock, paper, scissors. If your answer is rock, and the other, and then so it does that, and then it compares the other answers. You know what? Let's just make a rock, paper, scissors program. So if else, but there's also else ifs. So else if you can put in more arguments. So if y. Now y doesn't exist, so I have to do y. So if this is not true, so set that y is equal to true, right? So if x, y is true. If x is true, it'll do this. But if x is not true, it'll check the else if y. If y is true, so it'll do this. So let's just make a print line. So system.out.println x is true. Y is true. See what happens. Y is true because it checked the else statement. But if you were to do true for x, then to do x is true and just ignore this. Because if the initial if statement is true, it does that and then ignores the rest of it. So then you can add an else here too. You can put system.out.println neither are true. Or they're both false. So if you set this one to false, if x is false, it'll come here and check x is not false, so skip over. Next, else if y is false. So it checks y is false. Is there any other argument I can take? No, but there is an else. So this is just when all the conditions do not apply to anything. It'll return neither are true. So that is it for now. Later I'm going to show you how to have input, basic input. That's going to be fun. And it'll be using if or Boolean operators and stuff like that. So yeah, by the way, you should be messing with this. You should be looking at my code and changing it as I do stuff. So if you want to like do more, and it's better to try to change the code yourself, make your own if statement, if else, whatever, so that you can understand it. Sorry I didn't mention that earlier, but you should do that. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.